Well, it's just about 8:30 here in Grenada, Carriacou, PD, Martinique, and the rest across of the Eastern Caribbean. We say thanks to our listeners, those of you listen Classic 105.5 and 105.9, and a special and warm evening to our listeners on GBN Television, Channel 7, Channel 11, and Channel 20 if you are on cable. We say also a warm and special good evening to those of you joining via our YouTube page and our Facebook channel. It's indeed a pleasure being here with you. It's setting itself up to be a wonderful weekend of sports, and indeed for those of you who enjoy good athletics at its best, this weekend is going to be no shortage of it. I want to say thanks as we take this evening's conversation beyond the headlines. Whitsuntide Games 2023. My guests this evening, let's start first with I'm almost trying not to call him the prodigal son, but he's my warm and dear friend, and he is the public relations officer of the Grenada Athletics Association, Kwame Hippolyte. He's joining me remotely. Thank you, Kwame. Allowing me the luxury of sitting right next to him in studio, my dear old friend. We often say a lot of wrong things about him, but he understands it is all pure love. He's the president of the Grenada Athletics Association, Conrad Francis. Conrad, it's a pleasure having you here in studio.
Good night, Joseph, and present good night to all the listeners, both nationally and in the diaspora.
And as though the one rose that finds herself in the midst of the thorns, I say good evening to my dear friend as well. She's the secretary of the Grenada Athletics Association, Desiree Stevens. Certainly for those of you acquainted with her, she does at other times carry a different hat, but this evening we will focus on her role in the Grenada Athletics Association. Desiree, good evening. Welcome to the program.
Good evening, Joe, and it's a pleasure to be on this evening.
Pleasure to have you here. For those of you wherever you are, the next hour and a half, it promises to be rather engaging as we dissect what promises to be a weekend of really athletics extraordinary performances. Conrad, we're getting ready. Just a matter of hours. We're dotting the I's, crossing the T's, as you would say, as you get ready for Whitsuntide Games 2023. Exciting moments, isn't it?
Yes, definitely, Joe. The Whitsuntide Games is one of the biggest games in the region, developmental meet in the region. And as you know, it has its origins since in the 1950s. And this Games 2023 will be another one full of entertainment, and it promises to be very exciting.
I mean, a game, Desiree, and a lot of people probably may not recognize when they hear Whitsuntide that it has been around for quite a while.
Yes. Actually, the Whitsuntide Games would have started way back as in the 1950s. So it has a long history in Grenada and in the region, and we've always had our member federations and clubs and so from within the region with us in Grenada to participate in these games.
And certainly, Kwame, for you as a public relations officer, you've spent the last couple of weeks now counting down the days and the hours to ensure that we have a packed national stadium over the weekend, Kwame.
This year, based on the number of teams and the kind of level of participation that we are seeing, we're really hoping that the public can really come out to experience some exciting track and field.
Well, while you're at it, just continue the conversation there. You talk about participation clubs. Give us an appreciation as to the make and feel, the contingents that makes up the Whitsuntide Games.
Well, the Whitsuntide Games this year, as always, we'll see a combination of the local track and field clubs as well as schools in its first phase. We're also going to be experiencing competition from a number of track and field clubs within the Caribbean region. Guyana, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Antigua, and St. Kitts and so forth, right? Trinidad and Tobago. And in addition to that, we'll also have teams that will be representing the national federations, the various countries. So, and added to Whitsuntide Games for this year is the NACAC Combined Events Challenge. And there will be seeing participation from countries within the NACAD region who will be participating in that aspect of the games.
Let's not lose it. Let's just pause there for a minute. Let's talk about NACAC's involvement in this meet and what it means for athletics in Grenada, the Whitsuntide Games, and what addition we talk about those mixed events that's been added into this weekend's program.
Well, the NACAC Events Combined Challenge it's basically the athletes competing in the multi-events. For this year, we are happy to host the female aspect of the competition. Once NACAC came to Grenada and asking us to have this event as part of the Whitsuntide Games, we did not hesitate. And we've been working closely with our parent body, original body, to ensure that the event comes off. And for us, first of all, just being approached to host the event says something that we are able to deliver, meets at a certain level that our regional body, NACAC, is comfortable to ensure that we host this challenge. And in addition to that, it speaks to some of the results that we've been coming out of Grenada in the multi-event, and to just augur well for the motivation of athletes locally to compete and try their hands at the multi-events.
President, NACAC, being part of this meet, certainly, what does it mean for athletics in Grenada, its growth, as Kwame has hinted to? I mean, put it into context for me.
Yes, well, NACAC is our regional governing body, and as Kwame has said, that over the years we have developed quite a reputation for hosting very big meets. As I just want to go back to what Secretary Des was saying, the Whitsuntide Games started since the 1950s, and at that time it was both track and field and cycling, but it has evolved over the years, and we have been able to host the games. There was a bit of a hiatus in the 80s when the OCS games came on track in 87, 88, and 89. And then in 2003 we were able to successfully host both the CSC games and then 2004 Whitsuntide Games. And since then we've been hosting these games until the advent of COVID-19. So this year is actually the first year that we are going full blown over 2 days. So NACAC saw it fit to ask us to host the games, because normally the combined events is a separate game for itself, but they were having problems in finding a host to do the games. So they asked us if we can have it within the Whitsuntide, and we gleefully accepted that.
We must be doing something right here. We must be.
I think we are, Joe, and over the years, those major competitions that we would have held, we must say it was successful. As Mr. Francis said, we hosted Carifta in 2000, CAC in 2003, Carifta again in 2016, and then we put forward a very good bid to host Carifta next year. So I think NACAC was very impressed. They have been impressed with us over the years in terms of us hosting regional meets, and I think that is why they would have approached us to have the combined events as part of the Whitsuntides this year.
We're not going to jump, because you kind of wanted to preempt me. I almost took the bait to jump into Carifta, but we're going to discuss Carifta later on. But let's look at the development of athletics over the years as we focus on this weekend. Only not last week, I was listening to an interview with Kwame in another media outlet, and we were talking about the challenge of our athletic season. Internationally, the athletic season, track and field athletic season is just kicking off. In Grenada, though, it is tapered off, and in most cases, we forget all about it. Intercols football's gone, character is gone, and here comes the Whitsuntide Games, literally almost becoming, maybe you said, a flagship event that wraps up officially. So it serves really as a really, really, really good measuring tool to sort of measure what we've been doing for the entire season.
Yes, it does. Joe, our season actually starts in October. So our season actually started last year, October, and we would have had a number of developmental meets between October and January. And then we went into full gear with our national meets, our relay meet, our national championships. Then we went off to Carifta. And now we're getting ready for Whitsuntides. And the last meet for our season would be our age group championship, which we plan to host in June. So the Whitsuntide is at the end of our season, and it's, as Mr. Francis said, is one of the biggest meets because, as Kwame would have hinted, we have in excess of 42 teams registered regionally and locally. Of that, about 24 of that is regional, and then the rest local, and close to 900 athletes registered to participate. So we see the interest. When we would have sent out the invitation to our NACAC, our governing body, to share with member federations and to the clubs and so in the region, from the onset we got strong interest in participating, and we've seen that now being manifested in the number of clubs and so that have registered to participate this year.
What other major athletics meet is there across the region now? Or is it that based on the way the program works in the Caribbean? Listen, with most of the regional games, almost if not done and dusted, I guess everybody's now looking to Grenada, having, yes, we made a successful bid for character, but saying these guys are doing great things, why not get on board with them?
Well, Joe, a lot of people now, as you rightly said, we're getting down to the end of our season, but you know this is the height of the international season. We're getting ready for a lot of international competition, world championships coming up in Hungary in August. We have the World Relays in Bahamas and so a lot of athletes are using these as trying to make the qualifying marks to participate in these international events. So I think that's why we've seen a lot. We would have relay teams coming from the region, so we expect to have some good relay competition. We would have a national relay team participating as well. So a lot of the islands are looking for qualifying standards for some of the athletes as well, hence the desire to participate.
Kwame, give me an appreciation as to how the 2 days they're going to flow. Starting time, and these persons can appreciate what the expectation and mood can be at the National Stadium.
The competition over the 2 days, we'll see a nice packed schedule with field events, track events, as well as jumps. So we're going to start off with the heptathlon, and that will be part of the NACAC challenge. We start off with the heptathlon in the first session. So on the first day, we'll definitely be seeing competition in the 100 meter, in the hurdles and high jump. Okay. Thereafter, we move into a series of events directly pertaining to the Whitsuntide Games. Starting out with some of the jumps, we're talking some of the field events, and then we head into some of the sprints. Okay. Even throughout that first day, we're going to be seeing action in some of the relay events. Okay, we're going to see action in some of the relay events. Now, the second day, we'll have the same kind of combination where we start off with the NACAC events at 11, and then move into the Whitsuntide events. So the sprints, the jumps, a number of the jumps, as well as the the throws will be throughout the session. So at any point in time or any day that you attend the Whitsuntide Games, you will be able to experience the run, the sprint events, throws, as well as the jump events.
Help our listening audience though. Let's educate them. We talk about the HEPT, and persons are probably thinking, HEPT, what? Heptathlon? What is he talking about? Give us an appreciation as to the just give me an appreciation as to what it is. And then Conrad, you will take us through the significance of it, given that we have the likes of the Kurt and Lyndon on the international market. What exactly is a HEPT, Kwame?
Well, the heptathlon event is the multi-event that the females compete at the international level. The first event that the athletes will do, they will do a 100-meter hurdles on the first day, that is, and then they move into the women's high jump. Okay. Also on the first day of that event, the women will compete in the third event will be that of a shot put. Okay, so if you notice the pattern there, it's a combination of a run, a jump, and also a throw. The fourth event that takes place on the first day is the 200 meters, dash for the heptathlon ladies. On the second day, the athletes will compete in the women long jump and the javelin. And the last event is oftentimes the 800 meters, which is normally the distance event for that competition. So it's a combination of they have the sprints. They also include a jump, throw, as well as a distance race, the 800 meters.
And it will be important to note for such a mixed event that you can't predetermine based on event number 1 and event number 2 who's going to win the HEP. There is a point, they accumulate points as they go along?
Yes. So based on the performance of the athletes, the performance, they would receive points. Points based on the schedule system for by World Athletics, receive points for their performance in each event. The points that they receive after each event, that's accumulated, and the winner, the ultimate winner of the event, is determined by the points accumulated after the total number of events is completed.
And it's important that I wanted us, Desiree and Conrad, to highlight that because it's a new discipline, a new event that is. And I know a lot of persons coming from, because we had it at our completed intercall, and I remember having to explain to individuals, they get excited that an individual won one event, and they start going, yippee, 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 kaye. But let's talk about it holistically. We talk about the HEPT at the Games, there's also the ARCT. We've been hearing and seeing Kurt and Lyndon. And in more recent years, we've been talking about getting athletics, track and field, that is, to an international stage. I'm assuming all of this, Mr. President, is part of that ongoing conversation.
Yes, definitely. And but the multi-events is not really new to Grenada. In fact, we had a very outstanding decathlete in the 1970s and early 80s in Dunstan Campbell, who was based at UWI in Trinidad. And he actually represented Grenada at the Commonwealth Games in the decathlon in 1978. And in 2000, in 1998, when we were awarded the Carifta Games, we went on a program of trying to see where we can win medals. And one of the events we identified was the multi-events together with the throws. And we had people like Merriman and Alroy George from St. Andrews participating in that event. And since after that, we won almost every year medals in the heptathlon and octathlon events at Carifta. So there was a build-up towards it. So Linda and Victor and Kurt Felix did not drop out from the sky. They were part of a planned program that started since in 1998, and today they are world-class multi-events athletes. But apart from that, in the female, we have an athlete named Jonya Thomas, who's doing very well at the NCAAs right now. I think she won the regionals last weekend. And so we have the aptitude of our athletes for competing in such events. And apart from that, we have always, since in the 1990s, have the multi-events as part of our program at our national championships. So it's not a new event to us. It's just that not many athletes participate in it, and we know the reason why. But that's another discussion.
Well, no, you just kind of activated my curiosity. I always go to leave it alone. I mean, but then when you said it's a different day, I mean, Mr. President, I mean, obviously, why is it you get this? Is it that a lot of athletes are not necessarily interested?
Well, it is not widespread enough at the school level. Let's leave it as that. We would like to see, as a federation, that more schools have that event on the school programs, because our nursery is at the school level. So once it's there within the schools, we